moving on, we have a very important session that I would like to call upon the speakers on the stage. And to do the honors, it's a very specific panel that is much needed for discussion. And the speakers are someone who know the ground reality and they have the experience and that needs to be sorted. And the name of this session is Break the Bias, a panel discussion on the skills and attitudes for employability of students and youth of Northeast India. The points that we'll be touching upon is skilling and retaining youth in jobs, challenges in attracting youth to science and technology space, generating employment opportunities, challenges and way forward. I would request the colleagues to invite our esteemed speakers and do the honors for this particular session. Please well-known violinist and an professional is Sunita Bhuyan, a noted violinist, world-renowned. A round of applause for Ms. Sunita Bhuyan for
from the Northeast region and moving to other cities in India for employment. Skilling and facilitating jobs within the Anna Storage Foundation. Ms. Kajal Sekhya, Head HR, Molecular Refinery Limited. Nishit Upadhyay, Senior Director, Knowledge and Advisory Services, Society for Human Resource Management, India. Ms. Judy Barua, HR Director, Assam John Bosco University. I request Sunita Bhuyan to kindly moderate the session.
Thank you, Sudhir and team. A very good afternoon to all of you. It's a wonderful full house. And first of all, a round of applause to IndiGlobal, ASDM, Government of Assam for organizing this mega event around skills and employability. So, sabko taaliyan bajana hai for the effort that has gone in to create so many different kinds of panels, different industry discussions, the entire 9 yards of what it takes to be able to get employability and skill development in the Northeast and all of India. So thank you Kalyanji and the entire team. Today's panel that we have is not from the industry side. It's not about the kind of industries that we are looking at for recruiting. We're talking from the students' point of view. Students, all of you understand English, right? Fantastic. So it's from the point of view that what are the special skills, unique skills, and of course the standard skills that a student, youth, executive, young executive from this region in Northeast India needs to imbibe, develop, learn, and get trained on to be able to have a sustainable job, employment, and career. Not to just get a job and be there for 6 months, but to remain in a career for a long period of time. So that's the essence of this panel today. And I'd first like to ask, you have heard about the illustrious panel that we have, people who are really specialists in their field. We'll first start with Nishit Upadhyay. Nishit Upadhyay is from SHRM. The full form of SHRM, ladies and gentlemen, is Society for Human Resource Management. They are an international, worldwide veteran organization across more than 50 years, and they have been dealing with skills, training of executives at different levels over the years. Nishit has come all the way from Delhi. So Nishit, tell us, what are the specific needs that you see from students, because you are from Assam, staying in Delhi, that you see in students and youth that you train, executives that you train, and what are the big industries that you all think, can take in people from the Northeast?
Thank you, first of all, IIT Guwahati and Sunita for inviting Sherm to be a part of this panel. It's an absolute privilege and an honor to be speaking to this fantabulous crowd of students in my hometown. I'm from a school which is right across the river, KV Khanapara. Grew up here. I did my master's from Delhi School of Economics. I have been working as an HR consultant for about 18 odd years. Now, if I look at the landscape of skills and jobs across in India, it has absolutely dramatically changed, right? From actually looking at finding employment, which used to be the trend, or landing that government job, or that high-paying job in an FMCG company, to the present scenario where it's actually starting up something and being able to give jobs to others is what really drives the employment creation in the country today. And that's a real fundamental and tectonic shift, right? So what are some of the skills that one needs to pick up as a student? And to some of you who might actually be listening in, first and foremost, please understand that it's for you to be successful in business, in any business, you have to have an interest in economics. You have to have an interest in how the markets work, right? And you have to start developing a real interest in understanding business, right? So hence, developing some critical habits, for example, reading the financial newspapers every day. How many of you actually do that? Maybe, reading the Mint for its depth of coverage, or even Economic Times. Because if you start doing that as a habit, what will happen over a period of time is you will start developing some core interest of going beyond the headlines, and then you will be able to identify what are some of the critical problems to solve. I was hearing the commissioner speak in the morning today, where she actually identified that it's important for students to identify critical problems and start solving them, and not run after jobs. And in solving these day-to-day problems, you will go ahead and create the next Flipkarts and Amazons, starting right out of Guwahati, right? So start developing an interest in business, understand the stories behind the headlines, start using your analytical and critical thinking abilities to just go beyond, what's written out there. We come from Assam, and historically one of the biggest refineries, in the country, or one of the oldest refineries in this country is from this region. At SHRM, we do a host of talent assessment and development work for the industry, and I have been closely working with the oil and gas industry, with different organizations like Kane, Reliance Energy, even Numaligarh refineries, right? A few critical skills which will be very crucial for students to start developing. And what I'll do, Sunita, before I end and hand it over to you, is just list out core 4 critical skills which are going to be very important for the future. For identifying prospects, particularly in oil and gas, and for that matter, even elsewhere, right? So first and foremost, strong project management skills, right? Being able to look through things as a project, identify start and stop times, being able to manage things in a timely manner is going to be very, very crucial in this industry and elsewhere, right? And you can pick up that skill in the form of certifications which are available out there. There is a project management certification by PMI Institute, so that's something which is easily available for students to think about. Critical thinking, being able to think through and analyze things, is the second skill which is very, very crucial. Safety, health and environment, right? We were talking about various aspects during this conference, and looking at climate change as an opportunity, really, not only as a problem that's in front of us, but really as an opportunity. About identifying what can I do, to benefit from this big problem, and how do I start addressing that through my career, is something which you all need to start thinking around, right? So for example, the job of a water auditor, as the ma'am who spoke right before me, was quite an eye-opener for me, right? There are millions of such jobs which are going to open up. I would also like to take this moment to recommend a book which I just finished reading recently. It's actually called How the World Really Works, right? It's by this gentleman, Vaclav Smil. He's a Canadian researcher. And he really talks about the hard facts behind the climate crisis, right? It's a book meant for young scientists. It's a book meant for young academicians such as yourself. So do pick that up. That's again something which is very, very informative for students. And finally, quality control in any industry is something which is very, very crucial. So think about jobs and careers in that direction. And of course, last and perhaps foremost, the people angle in any business is something which is extremely crucial. Both Sunita and I belong to the HR profession. There's an interesting statistic. As businesses grow and scale, 60% of issues which the CEO has to deal with center around people, right? And do you know who owns people issues within the organizations? It's the CHRO, right? And the role of human resources is something which is extremely crucial moving ahead as we have businesses growing at scale in India. So that's a very, very critical skill that you should pick up. Hand it over back to Sunita. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nishit. You've got a round of applause right after you finish. So I hope that you heard Nishit talk about project management skills and critical thinking. But most importantly, please, let's all read a newspaper that we get either online or physical. Nothing like the physical paper for old-fashioned people like us, but newspaper, porhiboi lagibo, for us to know what's happening in the world. I think that's one skill set that we all can take home. Thanks, Nishit. Yeah, and Nishit is talking about a financial newspaper to know how the world of business, employability, job readiness works. Thanks, Nishit. Thanks a lot. We now move to Shrikant Sinha, who's the CEO of the Telangana Skills and Knowledge Academy. Shrikant, there is this beautiful feature that you have written. It's like a small training module on how one can train, unlearn, retrain. So friends here, you do listen carefully. This session is about you and what you need to do, not about what industry or all of us need to do to get skills across the board. It's about how we need to develop ourselves, our mental health, and our skill health. Over to you, Shrikant.
Thank you, Sunita. Very good afternoon. Thank you very much, IndiGlobal, ASDM, Kalyan Garu, and everyone else for inviting me over here and sharing some of my views with you. I think probably what we need to understand right from beginning itself, when we are parents and our children want something.
Could I please request those who are chatting to please give respect to the speaker? Thank you.
Thanks. Sorry. Yeah, so as I was saying, we as parents, whenever our children ask us anything, we say, eat this, this is good for you. You go to school and there the teacher says, learn this by heart because that is what will come in the exam. You come to your college, they start talking about, this is from an examination point of view, it's important. And when these people end up in a job, what are the first thing that they are asked to do? Think for yourself. But we have not taught our students how to think for themselves. And that is probably where we should start. We should start by ensuring that we start helping our children, our youth, starting to think for themselves. Critical problem solving, etc., are skills which will only come once you start thinking differently, right? I'm sure all of you would have heard about the famous story where a rich Indian who had been educated abroad came back to his village, and when he had to go down to his village in his Audi car, he had to cross a river, a small river which had a narrow bridge, and he had a punctured tire, right? While he was fixing the tire, of course, first thing you do is you curse everyone. You curse the city, you should have said, I should never come back. Everything is cursed, but then he realized he has to change the tire. He started doing that. Unfortunately, when he had fixed the tire, about to put the nuts, he kicked the nuts by mistake into the river. Right? Is it a problem? Anyone? Problem? Small problem? Big problem? Big problem. Thank you. Yes. Again, what he did is started cursing. A shepherd was coming over there. He moved around the car and said, what is the problem? So he said, look, I was supposed to go. I had this flat and I kicked these nuts into the river by mistake. What do I do? So he said, very simple. Take out one nut from the remaining 3 wheels and put it in the fourth wheel so that you can drive to the nearest tire repair shop, right? Unless until you start looking at the solutions approach and not only the problems approach, you will not be able to do anything much. So that's the second skill that you should have. Critical problem solving, etc., will come only if you have a solutions approach. Then you should start looking at what you want to do in life. What is the direction you need to take? Like Madam Verma was talking about, in water also there are so many options available. So what is the skill? What is the competence you bring onto the table? What is your attitude towards it? That's the next thing that you should look at, right? For example, if you can't stand the sight of blood, should you become a doctor or join the defense forces, right? And that is where iterations happen. People join a job, but they are not interested in it. And that's where they fall out. So understand what your passion is and then move towards it. But most importantly, right, during our day and age, people used to say 17 plus 4 plus full stop. 17 years of your school education, 4 years of your college education, and then life is set. So, dear young friends, in case your parents say, study this year, once you finish your college, life will be easy. I'm sorry to burst a bubble, it will not happen that way. It is 17 plus 4 plus 40. You will continue to learn, unlearn, relearn, till the time you are in a working job. And that is the mantra that you must always remember. It's learn, unlearn, relearn. And keep on repeating it again and again. All this will be driven by only one thing, your passion, right? So you need to understand where your passion lies, what you should do. As you're aware, you know, in India, we were the first state in Telangana where we had the first rocket, private rocket was launched. And when you talk to these people, it's only their sheer passion to do something different was what they created. If you look at entrepreneurship, which we were talking about earlier in the panel also, it's very simple. There are so many problems, try to solve those problems with unique solutions. So always ensure that you think in a direction where you are into a problem-solving mode. Don't get worried about fear. Fear is what makes you, lose your competence, your skills, etc. And ensure that whatever you do, foundations are most important. How many of the students over here are from IT, computer science, etc.? Can I please see a show of hands? Computer science, IT, only 1, 2. Is that all? Good, some hands coming up, right? A lot of people want to enter that area, but if I ask you, the girl over there, how many, you're in, I'm assuming in the 3rd or 4th year? Yes? Okay. How many programs, full programs have you written in your whole life during your education in your college? I did a survey on this and found out that while we are wanting to enter the IT industry, be programmers, normally students don't write more than 3 to 5 programs in their entire education life itself. How can we be programmers? In case you are looking at programming or IT, then computational thinking is a very, very important skill, right? And for everything, your foundation is most important. Please remember there is only one building like Hawa Mahal in the world, a building without foundation. So ensure that whatever you do, your career should be based on a very, very strong foundation, right? So please focus on concepts, focus on the foundation skills, and then build your career on it.
Thanks, Shrikant. So I hope IndiGlobal can send a copy of that small feature that you, I mean, it's a very important feature that you wrote. It is really going to help everyone on the learn, unlearn, relearn. Mr. Saurav Gupta, heading the operation of a hospital, the Kim Sunshine chain of hospitals. We would like to know from you, what are the special softer skills? Because like I said, this whole panel is more from the emotional, softer skills need of students all across India, especially Northeast. So what are the softer skills that you think that you look when you hire medical staff, nurses, GDA, assistants, and also maybe doctors? So if you could tell that, share that with us.
Sure. Thank you, Sunita, and thank you, the organizers. It's a privilege to again speak on this dais. I would just touch upon the healthcare, and I'll stick to my 3 minutes. So, healthcare has a deep economic and social connection. Economic, we all have spoken about. Yesterday also there were many speakers. So healthcare will be the second largest sector in India, and it will be 750 billion USD by 2030. So it is a sunrise sector, then you will have more jobs than any other industry in healthcare. Now, when it comes to the social aspect, it's very important. Healthcare is one of the sectors where more than 50% of the workforce is women, because we have nurses and other healthcare professionals. So it is a very important sector which actually helps in uplifting of society. Okay. Coming to the skill sets, we have been speaking about a lot of technical skills, but there are behavioral skills which are very important. First of all, as the eminent panelist has spoken about, you should have a passion for healthcare. You should have a passion for anything which you want to do. If you do not have passion for patients, for people to get well, then healthcare is not the domain you should enter. That's the very first thing I must say. The second thing is, now there is a recent study which says that around 18 to 20% of the healthcare workforce, predominantly nurses, are from Northeast. And Northeast people, especially nurses, are being now preferred in Indian hospitals due to their compassionate nature. And that's a very good thing. And we also have a lot of people from Northeast. Please be compassionate, because that's the key, compassion and empathy of healthcare. But also be assertive in whatever you say. So sometimes we come across people who know, who are very good technically, who know the job, but they're not able to speak up. So speak up, build confidence, and I would actually suggest two things which are very different from what people say. One is travel. You are a student, this is the best time. You should actually undertake travel. Travel to various parts of India to learn the culture. Because what will happen eventually, Northeast will be the powerhouse of manpower, skilled manpower. And you will be working throughout India and even outside India. Travel actually empowers you. Travel teaches you a lot of new things. Travel opens your horizon. So take travel whenever possible. See India, how beautiful it is, how diverse it is. Learn new cultures. The second thing is, start meditating right now. By the way, how many of you have ever done meditation or meditate at this stage? Anyone? I can see barely 4 or 5 hands. Believe me, it really helps, especially in high pressure situations when you will be faced with, especially COVID was an example, when patients were pouring in and healthcare people were full to the brim. It was a very tensionous situation, and meditation will actually help you to concentrate. So do meditation. And a lot of universities and institutes have actually inculcated things like Vipassana in their curriculum. So that is something which I will advise.
Thank you so much, Mr. Gupta. So being compassionate, we have the sense of being compassionate within us, and we are not scared to see blood and scissors and knives, that's when we need to join the healthcare industry. Thanks for that very brief but very, very precise inputs. I would now like to ask Juhi Barua, who is the HR director of the Assam Don Bosco University. Nam to sake hunise sobe, Dangor University, Tepesiat ase, and Juhi has worked across continents, across countries, across corporations. So Juhi, my question to you is, what are the 3 key strengths that you see in the softer skills of Northeastern students, and what are the 3 opportunities that you see in them to grow further?
Definitely. Thank you so much, Sunita. So a very good afternoon to respected panelists and respected audience members, and also the very young audience members. So far I'm sure you've heard very engaging talk by our previous panelist members. And I hope you paid good attention. I can see, expressions on your face. Yes, some interested, some curious, and some wondering what is going on. But this is a very relevant forum. So if you've listened very carefully to the previous panelists, first Mr. Nishant, where he spoke about a changing landscape, yes? Then Mr. Shrikant spoke to you about problem solving. And then, of course, Mr. Saurabh spoke to you about compassion. So these are very, very key elements. And in my capacity, in my current role at the university, and it's with a great sense of pride and humility that I can say that Assam Don Bosco University is the first private university to be accredited with Grade A NAC in Assam. Thank you. So we interact with 3,500 students almost, on a daily basis. And I think the greatest strength is our region, is where we come from. Here in the Northeast, we are home to more than 300 tribes. And we can see that reflected in our student population. So the diversity of our culture is our greatest strength. Diversity helps us to understand each other, to be compassionate, and Mr. Saurabh said, because you are looking at each other through different perspectives. It is then that we collaborate and we hone compassion. So I think this would be our greatest strength. The next strength, I would say, is that we know how to articulate. Yes? We are able to, yes, I know Mr. Saurabh said that some of us may be shy of speaking up, but yes, when we can, yes, we articulate very well. In fact, you would see most of our students also, being employed in call centers, in Amazon, or be it any technical delivery center as well. So we are articulate. So learn how to hone your skills in articulation and speaking up. Okay? Because I think the trend is there is no longer a culture of, yes, somebody is looking at me or I'm not speaking the right language. As long as you are communicating, it does not matter. Yes? And you must have the self-confidence to do that. The third greatest strength, I think, in students here would be kindness. Yes? Again, and that comes from the diversity of culture. I think almost an everyday basis, I see acts of kindness by students, either towards each other, or the way they treat their teachers, or the way they treat, senior people, learning to give your place up for a senior citizen who may be, standing in a bus. So please learn to hone these strengths of yours, yeah? So as I have said, it is, your multicultural diversity, your kindness, your ability to speak up, to be articulate. So continue to build on those strengths. In fact, when Miss Sunita called me first and she said challenges, I was basically going to say that we do not talk about this deficit discourse anymore. In Don Bosco University, or even in modern management trends, we do not have a deficit discourse wherein we just focus on the challenges. That is not to take away the problem. Yes, the problem must be addressed. But we also look at our strengths. What am I good at? It could be playing the guitar. Be good at playing the guitar. You can see our cultural icon from our region here, Miss Sunita. At a very young age, she honed her talent at playing the violin. And today, she's a world-renowned violinist, collaborating with groups right across the globe.
Thank you, Juhi. Thanks for your inputs.
Yeah. So be good at what you do, right? So the opportunities here for our youth is hone your strength, okay? Yes, everybody is talking about IT because everything is being digitized some way or the other, and now with ChatGPT, yes, it's much contested though because ChatGPT is said to, even do exams in law, yes, in engineering, but there is an era of ChatGPT. Basically, it cannot compute simple mathematical problems. Apparently, that's one error which I read in a critical review of ChatGPT. Yeah. So the thing is that you have to be very, very good at what you do, not like a Google search finder or a chat GPT. It's very easy for our students to sometimes sit in class and think that they know everything and think that you can Google it. No. The experience of sitting in a classroom and learning from your teacher through a discourse with students, through collaboration, the very experience, that is knowledge. Not just information which you get from Google, that is not knowledge. When you know, when you process that information and you are able to apply it to problem solving, that is what we call knowledge. Okay? So don't think that Google and ChatGPT are here to rescue you and get you good grades. No. You have to go through the proper process of education,
Thank you,
of
Judy.
being able to learn from the entire environment. Okay, so I think that's one opportunity. You become good at what you do. Second, assimilate the environment that you are in. And the third is please be aware of the opportunities around you. Yes, there are plenty of opportunities here in the Northeast itself. Whereas, whether you would like to start your own entrepreneurship, we have very young entrepreneurs here as well in the region. Whether it could be even writing a poem and learning how to publish, whether it becoming a writer, we have very many young writers here from the region. Yes, we have so many writers such as Janice Parriott, Anjum Hassan, Easterine Kiri. So we have so many writers who are coming here from the region. So be aware of the opportunities. And, to sum up what I have said, what Mr. Nishit spoke about a changing landscape. Please let me tell you that you have to be prepared. It is no longer that I want to become a doctor, I want to become an engineer, I want to become a computer scientist. You have to be prepared for a future, a world of jobs which have not existed earlier.
That's amazing, Juhi. Thank you so much for this passionate, I think a round of applause for Ms. Juhi Barua for her real rounded approach that you gave towards opportunities and strengths. We are coming towards the end of the panel and we have KB Rajendran of Suraj Foundation. But as we move from critical skills to learning abilities, to kindness, humanity, and the human approach, we would like to end the panel with the concept of good mental and emotional health, because I think that's the core. Once we are mentally and emotionally secure, confident in what we are doing, only then all the skills that we imbibe can come in use. So, KBR, what are the plans, if you can quickly share, that you are planning to do with students, especially young professionals, around mental health?
Sure. Is this on?
Yeah, it's on.
Thank you very much. Thanks for the opportunity. I got interested in this mental health while I was managing large skill projects in my previous assignments. I have, me and my team have skill trained more than 100,000 students in dozen states in the country. So at that time, under the skill ecosystem, mental health was not a focus area. But we did have crisis every day around mental health of students, and not just the students, the teachers as well. And these two areas caught my interest, and right now we do have a foundation called Suraj Foundation, which is focusing on initiatives around arts and culture, and one initiative is to focus on mental health. So if you look at some statistics, about 14% of the world's disease burden is by mental health. Just before COVID, about 14% of world's teenagers had some kind of mental illness, which increased by about 25% during the first year of COVID. Now, post-COVID, there are no statistics available, but it's doubtful whether these numbers have gone down. Now, look at the Indian school system only. I don't know how many of you know that we have 15 lakh schools, 26 crore students, and nearly 1 crore teachers. So these are huge numbers, being a country of this size, and in which the discussion on mental health is at best muted, okay? And they are fairly limited to upmarket private schools. You may, I don't know whether you know, 50% of Indian students school students study in private schools, but almost 25% of them are charging less than 500 rupees per month. So they are sort of equivalent to government schools in their format in which they handle the complexities. So we have come up with some consultants have helped us create this program by which we use arts and culture for working on projects which improve the mental well-being of students. At the same time, the teachers. Because you can't have a discourse about students without talking about teachers. So in its, and another initiative is about this arts and culture projects contributing to learning and development. There are also projects on intercultural collaborations and between states and between countries in this. One specific project we are now running in some government schools in some parts of the country are about getting a bunch of students to perform around a theme. They come around and perform around a theme, and this would address their anxieties and channelize their energy. You can see the complexities in today's world, how much pressure, stress the students are under. In fact, many of the students sitting here also might be under such pressure. So we need to provide them an outlet or a forum for channelizing their energies, and we have figured it out as a forum for performance around a certain chosen theme by a group of students in a workshop format. And we have seen that by students and teachers coming to and performing this, some amount of stress is removed from the system.
Thanks. So there is yoga, there is meditation.
Yeah.
You have your round of applause to KBR. So would like to end that the key, it all starts with our mind, and only then can our mind process the skills that we learn. And when we say the mind, it's the heart and the mind both together. Hence, how do we give the nutrition to our brain? You know, we don't treat the brain as an important part of our body. So that's what we wanted to end this panel with. So my humble appeal to all the policymakers, I'm so happy to say, Ankur Jain sir also here, that mental health, emotional, all-rounded development of the student is only going to give us the skilled executives that we are all talking about in the last 2 days. Hence, my appeal to all of you here, students, parents, guardians, policymakers, executives, that let's start at the core and also develop the core that each of us are confident, happy. A happy human being is a productive human being. And happiness and productivity is a byproduct of peace also. So let's hope there is peace in this world, there's a beautiful environment, and there is good mental health and well-being. Thank you so much for watching our panel, and thanks to the wonderful speakers here who gave us their inputs. And thank you, Sudhir, for your patience. Thank you.
Let us hear it once again for our wonderful speakers who have joined from across the country. Any questions in the audience? 30 seconds. Anyone?
Questions from this side? Any questions from this side? So any questions from here to any of the panelists? Anything you want to know about mental health? Anything you want to know about emotional well-being?
Just raise your hand.
There is no stigma. Let's break the myths. The brain is a part of the body like our heart, our stomach, our lungs, our liver. Anytime we face a problem, we think that we are feeling weak and we are not feeling healthy in the morning to get up and talk to people. It is not something abnormal. It is not madness. It is not to be shy of. Please share with your near, your dear ones, your teachers, so that people can help each other. So anything that you may want to share, ask our panel here. Please, this is your last opportunity. Even a teacher or a guardian can ask a question.
Hello, ma'am. My name is Meghali Daka. I am from Pop Kamrup College. I had some mental health issues, so I wanted to ask how to control my feelings and exam pressure and all that.
Great. First of all, round of applause to Anamika for being brave enough to let us know, because talking about what we need is nothing to be shy of. Thank you. And Anamika, right? Naam to Kobako?
Meghali Daka.
Okay. Meghali, you know, there's nothing to control. Don't think that you have to control it, subside it, and put it under the carpet. We just need to deal with it. There are people, there are doctors, there are counselors. You don't even have to go to the doctors right away. We can go to counselors. First, I think you can talk to your teacher or your parents, who may be able to help you to take to someone who can talk to you. Exam pressure is very common. People fall sick the day before the exams. I have had sleeplessness before my exams all throughout my life. There's nothing to control, nothing to be worried about. Just talk to someone and take some help. There are ways of coping. There are things called coping mechanisms which can help you. So if you go to your teacher or to your parents, first you have to go to these two entities in your life to help you. And I'm sure they can direct you. If not, do write to us, do write to IndiGlobal, and we can help you to put you on to someone who can speak to you on the phone, if not personally.
Thank you so much. A huge round of applause for our panel here. And to do the honors to our speakers here, we have our...
Ma'am, I am having some pressures choosing my dreams or a balanced career. I mean, I want to be an artist, but in art, there is not, there are risks and...
Great. So what you need to do, one, you can go to a career counselor, or you can definitely call you can give me a call, because I refuse to believe that art doesn't have a business offering. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of artists in all of northeastern region who are making a livelihood, maintaining families through art. Yes, there may not be as many jobs as IT and computers and engineering, but we are all gathered here to create that. Exclusion ho raha hai, sir, art ko leke. So we have to figure out a way to encourage people to pursue their passions. Do give us a call. We'll try and see what we can do to help you the most.
Thank you so much. Now we'll move on to do the honors to our speakers on stage. I would like to call upon the Program Chair of IndiGlobal Bharat Summit, Dr. B. Kalyan Chakravarti, Principal Secretary, Skill, Entrepreneurship and Employment Department, Government of Assam. A round of applause for the wonderful moderation is Sunita Bhuyan. She's the one who curated this particular theme, Break the Bias, and a panel discussion on skills and attitudes for employability and students. Next up is Mr. Srikant Sinha, CEO, Telangana Academy of Skill and Knowledge. We have Mr. Saurabh Gupta, COO, Krishna Institute of Medical Science, Sunshine Hospitals. Mr. K.V. Rajendran, Partner, Suraj Foundation. And last but not the least of this panel is Kajal Sakia, Head HR in RS. Juhi Barua. We would request for a group picture with the members. Thank you so much.